Japan didn't lose the samurai in war. It erased them in silence. And the last ones didn't die screaming. They died standing. Picture this. It's the late 1800s, and Japan is transforming at a dizzying speed. Railroads slice through ancient villages. The smoke of new factories begins to replace the mist over rice paddies, and the cold steel of modern guns is replacing the soul of the ancient sword. The Emperor, Meiji, saw modernization not just as an option, but as survival. He looked to the West and saw power. Western weapons, Western uniforms, Western ideas. But to charge into this new future, Japan decided something vital had to be left behind. That something was the samurai. For over 700 years, the samurai weren't just warriors. They were the very spine of Japanese society. They were teachers, administrators, protectors, and living symbols of a strict moral order. They lived and died by a code known as Bushido. Honor over life, duty over personal comfort, and loyalty so absolute it reached beyond death itself. For a samurai, a life without honor was a life not worth living. He was already dead. Then, with the stroke of a pen, a single law changed everything. The samurai class was officially abolished. The public wearing of their swords, their very identity, was banned. Their traditional stipends, their only source of income, were cut. These elite warriors, born and bred for battle and leadership, were suddenly told to become farmers, merchants, simple civilians. Imagine dedicating your entire existence to a craft, a code, a way of life, only to be ordered to forget it all, to simply stop being who you are. Many tried to adapt. Some found new roles in the government or the military, but many others were broken by the change, unable to reconcile their identity with this new world. They simply faded away, disappearing into the silence of a forgotten age. But a few refused to fade. They refused to be erased. And their leader was a man named Seigo Takamori. Ironically, Seigo was once the emperor's most trusted warrior, a key architect of modern Japan. He helped build the new government. He trained the new conscript army. He believed in progress, but he came to fear what that progress was destroying. He saw Japan gaining industrial power, but losing its soul. The samurai weren't just losing their status, they were losing their very purpose, the essence of their being. Seigo went to the emperor, his former student, and he warned him. A nation that trades its honor for power may advance for a time, but it will never truly stand. His warnings fell on deaf ears. The tide of change was too strong, and so, Seigo Takamori did the unthinkable. He walked away from the halls of power, from the capital he helped build. He returned to his home in the south, to the old ways, to tradition, and there, he gathered the last of the true samurai. In the rugged mountains of Satsuma, they trained, not to conquer a new nation, but to make one last stand for the old one. They weren't trying to win a war. They were trying to remain faithful to their code, even if it meant their end. The new government in Tokyo saw this, not as an act of honor, but as rebellion. They branded Seigo and his men traitors, enemies of the future, and the final terrible order was given: erase them. What followed was not just a battle, but a clash of two worlds. The last stand of the samurai against the modern army they themselves had helped create. It was a tragic, foregone conclusion. Seigo and his few hundred warriors, armed with swords and tradition, faced a government force of tens of thousands, armed with rifles and cannons. They fought with a courage that stunned their enemies, but courage alone could not stop bullets. One by one, they fell. In the final moments of the final battle, a wounded Seigo Takamori performed the last act of a samurai. He committed seppuku ritual suicide, preserving his honor in death. The rest of his men, seeing their leader gone, drew their swords and charged into the guns, choosing to die on their feet rather than live on their knees. They didn't die screaming in defeat. They died standing. With their passing, an era didn't just end, a light went out. Japan became a global power, just as the emperor had wished. But it paid a price. It traded its soul for a machine. The story of the last samurai is a haunting reminder that progress without principle, power without honor, is a hollow victory. Thank you so much for watching. If you found this story as moving as I did, please like this video and subscribe for more journeys into the most powerful moments in history. Until next time, stay curious.